The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Well, the biggest story globally continues to be the issue around Israel. In fact, USA, Israel versus Iran war in the Middle East. But in South Africa, it's Ad-hoc committee day today. And yesterday we had the unusual situation of no Madlanga Commission, no Ad-hoc committee. There's lots that's come through today, and we'll focus to a large degree on the Ad-hoc committee. My name is Ashraf Garda. As always, whether you are sitting in an office, driving in your own car, driving in a Uber or a Bolt, whichever taxi it is that you choose, great that you joined us and connected with us. You could well be on the beach too, in South Africa, all around the world, on radio, listening on streaming live, or even by our YouTube channel on SAFM, or the new, well, not the new, the fast-growing SABC Plus app. Either way, we've got you covered. To connect, we'll take WhatsApp comments as opposed to live comments, because we can play them anytime we have a break. 0614 104 107. You could drop us a line immediately and tell us what for you has been the key moment so far for today. Well, let's talk about today then. The Deputy National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Tabelo Mosekile, is currently testifying before the Ad-hoc committee. Now, earlier today, Mosekile told the committee that she only became aware of the directive to disband the PKTT, and the date is important, the 2nd of January 2025, after she received a media query about the disbandment. So let's not miss a beat. Let's get right to Parliament's Ad hoc committee.
You are listening to the Ad hoc committee live on SAFM.
That are operational in the police, except the 3. So every other unit that you will get in the police, from the police stations, within the division visible policing and operations, you will have different components. There is a component that is dealing with firearms and liquor compliances. You will have a component that is dealing with frontline police, which is the police station and all members in the client service center and all operations that are happening at the police stations. You will have the component that is dealing with border policing. You will have the component that is dealing with emergency services. That is all your flying squads. Okay. And you will have protection and security services.
So between the two of you, with whom does the buck stop? Between the two of you in relation to the PKTT affairs?
It will stop at NOC, which is the component reporting to me. But in terms of the investigations, the dockets themselves, the buck stops with General Sibiya.
Chair, am I running out of time? Should I stop now? Oh, okay. Lastly, since you are dealing with policing, what is your final assessment on the effectiveness of the PKTT at the time when it was dissolved? Was it still needed? Was it effective? Did it make any practical positive or practical paradigm shift in KZN where it was established?
I believe it was, yes. The decline in cases.
So there was a need for its continuation.
Safe to say, I'm mindful of your time. There are other task teams that were established or were undertaken in that tenure of the minister. Example of those, Lockdown 3, as well as the taxi violence that was in Port St. John's in the Eastern Cape. So there was a need to still, murder and robbery, it's in existence, but where there are interventions that were to be undertaken, those teams were established.
Thank you so much. Take the microphone, Honorable Matthias.
I was still teasing honorable souls, and here I am. Chair, how much time? 45? Plus my 15 minutes? Okay, let me put my timer on because I know how you are, Chair. Okay, Lieutenant General, good afternoon. I trust you enjoyed Parliament lunch as I did. These questions I'm about to ask Lieutenant General, they're not necessarily directly related to the PKTT team and what you have put in your affidavit, but it speaks to your 38 history within SAPS, which is in your affidavit. So the disclaimer here is that you have access to a lot of information in SAPS, whether you were directly involved or directly responsible, but you have information. And you will be able to direct us as a committee where we can also access this information, if indeed that there is. So we want to remind you that you are under oath, that we are here in this committee, and this committee has been established to investigate what is going on in our criminal justice system. So we are pleading with you that whatever information you have outside of what you have specified in the contents, but it speaks to your 38 years of history within SAPS, that you please assist us. Because it is we struggling here on this committee. So these questions I'm about to ask, some of them are on the background of that. Are we together?
We are together, Honorable Member,
Thank
to
you,
the
Lieutenant.
best of my ability.
No, I agree. And when you, of course you can say things like, this is what I've heard, this is what I understood, and you can direct us to people who will be able to provide us with evidence. So we don't want to do a podcast or a gossip session. But when you are able to say, no, then maybe you can go, there's this case, or go to that department and be able to get that. So that's where I'm coming from. So the first person I want to deal with is Paul O'Sullivan. So he's been operating within our SAPS in particular since 1990. You've been in the service since for 38 years now. So do you have any knowledge or experience of any of his dealings or operations within the criminal justice system, even if it's not necessarily SAPS, because you've also worked with with DBC and with defense, etc. So anything?
The first encounter with Mr. O'Sullivan was when I started to work in Gauteng as the Deputy Provincial Commissioner responsible for crime detection. In that, he was assisting with some of the investigations, and I know the first encounter is when Paul O'Sullivan was providing information in relation to other matter that was under investigation that was involving one of the convicted criminal, Rodavin Krecher. So that is when I started to know Paul O'Sullivan. He even came to my office with other files or the personnel of his office, but I received a call from him that they want to hand the dossier on another investigation. So I did interacted, and I know that Paul O'Sullivan was interacting, or Ndade Paul O'Sullivan, because he is older than me, and I'm taught to respect and call him Mr. Paul O'Sullivan.
So you entertained him based on his age. Did you do any investigations into him? Because, I mean, there's a lot of people, let's just be honest, that would send you messages, that will email you, say that they have information. Why was Paul O'Sullivan the one that you were okay to accept dossiers from, besides his age, given your experience in SAPS?
I did not say I accepted. I said he called my office because I was the deputy responsible for crime detection in Gauteng as a province then, and he had that dossier. So,
and what did you do with it?
It will go to the investigators, not myself.
But so you met with him?
I met.
He spoke
Paul,
to you
I
for
will
how
not,
many hours?
I can't recall how many hours,
it was
but
long,
I did.
hey?
It was very short.
Oh, okay. Are you aware of any investigations that have been conducted into Paul O'Sullivan? Even if it was just that he was listed as a person of interest, you were not curious how this person came across a whole dossier of information on a very high-profile matter?
It was not, I can't recall what the case was. At the time, he wanted the pursuance of, he should have submitted the dossier to investigate General Munu. I think he came to me that General Moon, who was the divisional commissioner at the time, he wanted him to be investigated. So that was my first encounter. And he submitted that dossier that was booked out to the investigators to continue with the investigation, because my role was to manage and ensure the work is done, not to do the work myself.
So more or less, how many times when you were in Gauteng did Paul O'Sullivan contact you directly and not the investigating officer to come and hand over information?
I think that was the only encounter, and other times where I would have seen or heard about Paul O'Sullivan, because I was the deputy responsible for detectives. General Sibia was the provincial head responsible for the Hawks. So I take most of the matters that Paul will have, will be at that level of DPCI, and I got to know him from General Sibia's point of view.
So did you and Lieutenant General Sibia think that he was actually a forensic investigator? So it was you and, well, from what I'm saying, let's just say you for now, that allowed this man into our criminal justice system at the level that he was. Because any ordinary South African private citizen, Lieutenant General, cannot even get hold of a police officer. This man is having meetings with you. And he just calls you and you make yourself available. Why?
Any citizen of this country who's having information on the case, who is inquiring about certain matters or any case, does have access to me. So it's not only
so how many other normal South Africans, just private citizens, have come to you to hand you over information?
In my career, a lot. I can't count. I cannot count. Even now, I do receive emails from the people that I do not even know.
They come and you have meetings with?
A lot.
And you don't refer them to the IO, you actually
I will
take
refer
it in.
them.
So he wasn't unique at all in that way.
No.
And you trusted that this man was not trying to infiltrate our criminal justice system, that he was actually a forensic investigator. Did you, that being the head of detectives, do any investigations into him?
No.
Okay. So who does South Africa trust? Because the job of SAPS is to protect our criminal justice system. You and your colleagues are the most senior leaders in this country. So if you can just go and get information from random citizens, allow them to have meetings whenever and however they want, who protects the ordinary South Africans from people who now we can see has been trying to capture our criminal justice system? Because it started off there. That's why he can come here into Parliament, walk out when he wants. He even threatens members of Parliament. So it started off there. And that's your responsibility, you and your colleagues' responsibilities too. Protect us. Protect the nation, Lieutenant General. What happened? Why was that not done? Because everything, pretty much everything we know about him that we thought we knew. We have evidence that says otherwise.
I don't think for a person to come and share the information or to present information, it's untoward if you don't know where he's coming from, or if he is not, or she is not doing anything wrong. Any person can come and present the case, and he or she will be listening. That is what happened. And I can put my head on the block that South Africans, with the 38 years service that I had, I have been assisting people, and I'll continue to do that as long as I am in office. And you can trust me in that. But one person that has done wrong, or that was established afterwards but it's having other ulterior motives, needs to be investigated from that point of view. It cannot be correct that if a person just walk in your office, you don't know, you don't have a background, you just decide not to listen to that particular...
The opportunity. This is the National Pulse. My name is Ashraf Garda. Thanks for listening in.
This February, fall in love with food that tells a story. From bold new culinary stars to untamed destinations and unforgettable flavors, Gordon Ramsay brings passion, pressure, and purpose to your screen. Gordon Ramsay Uncharted, Sundays 5 p.m. Only on S3. Open up.
When it comes to world-class exhibitions and event solutions, one name leads the way: GL Events South Africa.
From concept to completion, we transform ideas into exceptional experiences, delivering seamless events for conferences, exhibitions, business functions, and more. With global expertise and local insight, we provide innovative, sustainable, and turnkey event solutions you can trust. Partner with the industry leader. Partner with GL Events South Africa. Visit gl-events.co.za.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Right, back we go to the Ad-hoc committee, and the voice you're going to be hearing is that of the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Tebelo Mosikile.
You are listening to the Ad-hoc Committee live on SAFM.
Is this person, because he's been going around in media for the long time. I mean, the highest point was in 2019, where every single media outlet was reporting about it. Was iPad showdown with him and Mkhwanazi, our acting national commissioner at this time, and SAPS. During that time, you in that senior leader position, was there any discussions about who is this person, what should happen, anything?
Discussions could have been there in casual, but the investigative authority and the intelligence communities, I believe, were doing that they were supposed to do, and they will provide the feedback and their investigation or analysis to the relevant authority. So it's not like we were folding our arms.
That's what yes. So you are saying that as a committee, we must go to those relevant departments and ask them about if they did any investigations and what those investigations were around Paul O'Sullivan's info. And I'm not speaking specifically about the iPad investigations, but about him being a person of interest here in this country. So you are saying that as a committee, there were talks about it, and the relevant departments within SAPS did take up, whatever the outcomes on the investigations are, you might not know, but we here as a committee must be able to access that information or request to access that information.
I think if it's available, if there was a report that was...
You don't own?
I don't know. Okay. It can be made available. I think this is the committee, and the purpose that it was established, it's to pursue matters like this. If that information is available, I don't think anyone in the service will refuse to advise.
But there was conversations among senior officials about this, and from what you understand?
Yes, there were because
you were worried about the nation and our criminal justice system being captured by private individuals that we don't know.
Perhaps not specifically or in simpler terms that he has infiltrated, but to have him being the forensic, I think he was the forensic investigator, and nobody presented that this is not a forensic investigator. He might have not acquired those forensic investigation authority unlawfully. I don't know.
So our evidence leaders, Chair, we're just requesting that we write to the relevant authorities to find out if there have ever been any reports or investigations. Yeah, our secretariat has disappeared, but we have some of our senior legal person is here. And if we can do that speedily so we are able to get if there are any reports. And even if there were just investigations, even if it didn't amount to something, but it can't be that we have senior SAPS officials who were part of this country and part of our nation and who are responsible for protecting us from individuals who possibly were trying to do exactly that. And they were just sitting with their hands folded, actually even just accepting information and making access to them so accessible more than any normal person in the nation. And Lieutenant General, you must know that the average South African right here is sitting and looking at you, and they're going to say, don't even know who my IO is. And they have to get money to go even to the police station just to get a status of their case. And they don't even have money to do that. Then they can get to the police station, and the police officer can just say, we don't know, the detective's not here, we're just waiting. That's the reality of what your average South African is dealing with, while some of these Paul O'Sullivans can just make a phone call and come and drop off a dossier. Okay, let me
Can I
allow you
respond
to
then?
respond, sorry, because I'm talking.
It's not correct that South Africans will inquire about their cases and they will be told that the detective is not available. There are processes, there are systems in place where we can follow up. Even myself, I'm no longer in the detective. When complaints come, I divert and revert them to the relevant authority that will assist. And if they give me feedback that they shouldn't, because I'm not in the detective space, but because I'm a senior manager, if I get feedback, I will communicate it back to the person who's making such an inquiry.
Lieutenant General, South Africans are going to drag you because I'm telling you that it's not. We understand that there are systems, there is. We get SMSs, they're not. Sometimes you can get an SMS, it'll take forever to get one. Who has been allocated to, you can go. And that is the reality of the majority of South Africans here in this country. We know that there are systems. We don't dispute that. Very functional systems, well, at least if they function properly, we will all be able to be well-serviced here in the country. Let's talk about your iPad case. I'm confused. So you opened a case of robbery.
Of theft.
Theft, right? Then iPad gets a hold of this case because someone went to lodge a complaint that this case that you opened was perjury.
They open a perjury.
Okay, so, but anyway, there was a case there at iPad for perjury based on the theft. Is it theft robbery case that
Theft.
you opened, right? Okay, now I understand. So they opened that case whether someone complained about it or whether they didn't. So iPad's core mandate, from what I understand, is to investigate serious police misconduct, custodies in death, torture, brutality. Does perjury qualify?
I don't know, but they're investigating.
38 years, you must tell us. I mean, they'll come and say otherwise if they disagree with you.
I don't know, but they're investigating perjury against me.
Maybe because you're a senior official. Anyway, they'll tell us. So you don't understand how they took the case, and I'm assuming it's based on the fact that there was a perjury case. So, no, that they opened the perjury case. So, and the perjury case, the evidence is on the docket that you opened, right? So they still have both these files, which means, are they going to investigate from what you understand, or what should happen in terms of processes in SAPS? Is it their responsibility also to process the theft case?
No.
So that case should have gone back to the relevant police station or investigating officer to continue the investigation, because they already have the information they need to do a perjury investigation.
That's correct.
And that hasn't happened.
I don't know. I haven't checked if the investigating officer has or got hold of the case. However, after engaging with them around September, the investigating officer did call me, but he called me on another case requesting that I should be a witness on another case that I believe had the similar modus operandi as my case. And I said, with all fairness, I will assist in any case, but they must remember that I still have a case. So I don't know if the docket is back with them. That I can establish, because yes, it's my case. I should know where my case is.
You see? Do you see? You're also a product of the rest of South Africans. You don't know what's happening with your case.
I have not followed up. I have not followed up.
So I think, Chair, also let us also request to get a report on iPad on what, because that will speak directly whether there's unnecessary interference or whether our whole criminal justice system has been weaponized by senior officials in our criminal justice system. And this is not to say that you didn't purge yourself and that iPad shouldn't investigate, but just speaks to us understanding what is going on and why something like that would take so long. In paragraph 58 of your statement, you say that you made amendments, right? Or you say that there were amendments were made and it was in a pen handwriting. and it was done without your knowledge.
That's correct.
Yeah, so have you formally requested authentication of it, or because the file is still with iPad, it's just parked for now?
I did not want it to interfere
Okay.
with IPT's investigation, so I received what they have presented to me and I allowed them to do their work.
So in your experience, how would that happen? So someone would, because generally if you do any amendments to a statement, you have to do your initials next to it. So were your initials next to it?
It should be done in the presence of the depositor of the statement.
that's
You
what I
can't amend the statement
Without-
that I have deposed if I am not present. One. Two, it should be signed by both the deponent
Yeah,
and as well as the person who have disposed the statement. So it cannot be one person sitting
Yeah.
in his office amending somebody's statement
Yeah, we
without.
agreed. So what is so you're saying that it was amended, but there's no signatures on it?
No, I did not sign. I did not know
you
of.
didn't? Okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted clarity. Then you said that you submitted, you did a typed statement because it was requested because the ink was fading on your original statement, or did I misunderstand that?
No, you understand it correctly. However, the type version was for the file that was at Loss Management Office, not part of the docket, because the docket has the original statement. It also has the supplementary statement. So the file, it's done, it's at the police station, Littleton, or PIU that was investigating. Immediately when I finished with my statement to open the case, I had to submit documents for the loss management for the purposes of the state property that was lost in my possession. So in that, the loss management office was requested that the statement, because it was a copy statement,
I got it.
it's fading.
Okay. Good.
So they had to have it typed. So they said, as loss management, I think procedurally as well, they will not do it themselves. Can I type the statement? So the officer in my office typed the same statement verbatim, as is, just to deduce it in typing for the purposes of the file. So it is the statement that was meant for loss management, not for a case document.
Why didn't they just go to the police station and get the original copy? Because it seems to cause a lot of confusion. Why would it not go to the SAP's printer or make a photocopy that is proper? Because it seems very like we're here because of a type statement, or not here, you're not here because of that, but the situation is here because there's also a type statement when you could. Littleton is not far from the headquarters of SAP.
I think because it was the submission from myself, they will want it to be typed at least. So the same statement was just typed to have a clearer version of the same statement.
But do they generally ask for statements to be typed, or would they just use the original statement that you gave when you opened the case at SAPS? Because you're not really answering the question why they didn't just go to the police station, what is it, Littleton, and ask for your original statement in the docket.
The main docket of theft have the original statement. The copy was then made to submit the loss management. So it's two different processes. First process is the docket, and you can't take out the original statement from the docket because there are processes that docket must still follow. Then when I submit the documents for loss management, I submit. So I take the copy of the same statement. After some time, because the incident is 2024 and the statement or the type statement was requested in 2025. And subsequent to that,
It's such a long time. Why did you re-register it such a long time later? It's 2 years or not? Am I miscalculating?
No, it was not re-registering. It was just to make...
No, register it.
Immediately in 2024. Loss was finalized because I got the replacement phone. The loss management file was finalized and closed. Finalized, buried. I learned later that why loss management office requested a type copy is because IPAD requested the file and they said the statement is no longer eligible and it needs to be typed.
So
Hence
you
the loss
clarified that,
management
Lieutenant
request.
General. I'm saying, why did they want you to type it? Because it wasn't a standard practice. They could have just went to the police station down the road and went to ask for a copy.
Safe to say they were having the original statement and they still wanted it to be typed.
So they specifically said they don't want to go to the police station, they want it typed.
The file was with IPID when IPID was requesting the statement to be typed.
The original file, I thought you said it is still at the police station, just IPID has a copy of it. I've misunderstood you.
They came to me in August with the file, with the same docket.
Okay, I got you. The then Chief of Staff, Nkabindi, when he was here, he said that he was not involved in talks when you were having, or when the National Commissioner was, when the Minister was having meetings with the officials of SAPS, etc. His job was pretty much minutes and to give clarity. But in your statement, you say that he used to give input, and I think there was one meeting in particular, I think it was on the 6th of March, 2025. Did he get involved in operational issues outside of giving clarity on minutes or not, and have opinions on matters that he shouldn't?
He gave opinion in that meeting. I will not sit here and lie to the committee that he gave opinion if he did not give opinion. He spoke in that meeting.
Was it something regularly, or something regular that he did, or was it that meeting in particular?
He will give input in the meeting, either to advise the minister on the directive that was given that he is following up. But I think the tendency is that he will say something in the meeting. And I said, with the other chiefs of staffs that I worked with other ministers, it was unlikely that they will give opinion in the meeting.
And then what did the officials of SAPS do about that? That we now have a chief of staff that is getting all muddled up in operational issues of SAPS?
It's the office of the minister, which is the senior office to that of the National Commission.
Did any of you raise that with the minister, that we have a chief of staff that is acting outside of his duties as a chief of staff?
I did not, because I don't report to the minister. I don't know if the National Commissioner has raised.
But did you, as colleagues, have those discussions amongst each other that we now have a chief of staff that is getting involved?
No.
No, okay. The Senzo Meyiwa case, your name comes up a lot there. Were you at the scene on the day? Did you attend phosphorus?
I was, this acting of me. I was the acting provincial commissioner on the day of the incident. I made several calls to the operatives after receiving a report of what happened. Because it's a high-profile case, the practice will that you will contact the relevant office, General Sibia being one, General Taiwe, the late Brigadier Ndovu, he was the head of the detectives in Gauteng at the time. These are the three colleagues that I personally contacted to get the reports, because I will not go to the investigator at the police station at my level at the time as the acting provincial commissioner to get reports. So I contacted the senior leadership of investigation in the country. General Brigadier Ndlovu, the late Brigadier Ndlovu, indicated that he is awaiting Colonel Paho to call him, who was the detective commander at Vosloorus police station. So I said to him, you cannot be getting reports and reports.
Honorable
Imagine the whole nation
Bangazita,
wants to know about Senzo
Honorable
Meyiwa.
Mngango,
You were just cutting the
Honorable
nation off.
Mngango, your time starts now.
Thank you,
Well,
Chair.
thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon, Madam.
Good afternoon, Honorable Member.
My question actually would emanate from 6.3 of your statement, where you are actually saying that part of what you do is actually to be responsible for operations such as SONA, national and local elections. And also you go on to say you are also responsible for maintaining international bilateral relations. I just want to, out of curiosity, whether the national events will actually include, party political events, national party political events such as conferences, etc.
Yes, Honorable Ngangwe, it will include them.
Are you also part of the senior police officers that would attended conferences such as the 2007 Polokwane conference? Because some of your colleagues who were here actually said that they actually had their own desk in that particular conference.
I did not attend it. I was in the Free State at the time.
Okay. I'm asking this question because many of your colleagues who actually have been here actually say that the major source of the present problems actually emanated from that conference, because when the generals came back from that conference, the whole atmosphere, working atmosphere, especially in the crime prevention, environment changed. So that is the only interest I have. The second question actually has to do with paragraph 6.4, where you say you are actually also responsible for bilateral international talks, especially in SADC region and beyond. I'm interested in the beyond. What do you mean by that? Where is that?
There will be bi-national meetings outside of the regional bilateral meetings within the region where you will have the SADC countries having bilateral meetings. For an example, there will be a bi-national that one attended recently in Vietnam, where the president was attending. So that is one of the bi-national talks that I am referring to. I think there are other bi-nationals. I just could not recall them on the cuff, but the office is responsible for those bilateral. If the national commissioner is not attending, I will be leading the team.
Thank you. In paragraph 6.6, you say you also liaise with regional and international counterparts. Are you comfortable to disclose the counterparts that you liaise with?
That will be the police cooperations. Lesotho will have, the bilateral will have corporations internationally, as I've indicated, with Vietnam and many other countries that will have interest. If we attend the Interpol meetings, there will be a site meetings that will be held. If National Commissioner is not there, the senior leadership that is there will attend.
In your deliberations in those forums, do you ever discuss issues of cross-border crime, such as the theft of our vehicles along the Mozambique-KwaZulu-Natal border, the issue of the Zamazamas, insofar as it relates to the people from Lesotho who are actually participating in these criminal activities?
That is the intention of these bilateral meetings. And yes, the issues of vehicles will get discussed. And I think I was also in Emanguzi, with the meetings that we had with Mozambique at Emanguzi and other meetings that followed after that with regard to the issues of the vehicles. When I was the Divisional Commissioner, Detective Service, the position that is currently occupied by General Sintumule, we participate in the forum of the police chiefs in the country, and in my time, yes, there will be discussion on the issues. Currently, if there are issues with Lesotho, which I flew to Lesotho at some point to discuss the issues of illegal mining, yes, those falls squarely within this. And perhaps to even expand, I'm also serving in the forum, the committee that looks at, that is not police related, but it is looking at overall Crime Stoppers International. I'm a board member of the Crime Stoppers International, and this is where some of these matters are being discussed, and many other engagements with the country, including attending the UN meetings.
Thanks, General. Now let's go to the 31st of December, 2024, if I'm not mistaken. When you were acting, I know that the National Commissioner went on leave and he left you in his office. Was the minister aware that you were acting?
Yes, he was.
Because if so, was there ever any communication between you and the minister whilst you were acting, either telephonically or otherwise?
On any other matter?
On any other matter?
Yes, there was.
So I'm asking this because I fail to understand why would the minister fail to communicate with you his intentions to actually dissolve, to disestablish the PKTT because you were in office. And I'm also failing to understand why he would actually address his directive, his letter or the email to the National Commissioner when he knows exactly that the National Commissioner was on leave and you were in the office. That is why I'm asking, was he aware that you were in office?
He approves the leave of the National Commissioner, and he will not approve the leave of the National Commissioner. I think the law dictates that he will then need to know and appoint the person that will be acting or confirm. Consensus needs to be reached with the minister on who will be acting in the absence of the National Commission. And when the email was sent, which I took, that is because the minister was aware that National Commissioner is on leave, it was sent, the first addressee was to the National Commissioner and the second was to myself, precisely because he knew that I am in the office. And perhaps to also contextualize why to be sent to the National Commissioner, because National Commissioner, much as is the National Commissioner, but that email, it's the state email that he will send. So the office of the National Commissioner should undertake any directive that will come. It is a common cause. Any department, even when National Commissioner is out, they will send the email to the office of the National Commissioner, because they are sending it to the office, not to the individual.
With hindsight, have you been able to actually raise that with the minister? That, Mr. Minister, I was not happy that when I was in the office of the National Commissioner as acting National Commissioner of SAPS, you actually continued to sideline me and communicated directly with someone who was on leave on a matter which he had actually designated as urgent. How on earth was a person on leave going to be able to actually act on a matter, on an urgent matter when he was on leave? Have you actually been able to?
I will not have raised it because I said earlier the email was addressed to the National Commissioner in the capacity of the National Commissioner and to myself. So not even copied, I was the main addressee as the National Commissioner. So the email follow one another. So the minister did address, or the Chief of Staff was mindful of the fact that in case the office of the National Commissioner's Chief of Staff and the PA are not in the office, because there is an acting person and he knows who the acting person is, the email was directed to me. So the minister's office did not sideline my office, they did send the email to me.
But the email was addressed to the National Commissioner.
To the National Commissioner and me.
Was not to the acting National Commissioner.
There is no office called acting National Commissioner. Hence, my explanation earlier is that it is the office of the National Commissioner. But it was also sent to Musigidi TC email, which is the Deputy National Commissioner who is acting at the time. So it was sent to me.
So in what capacity did you deal with that correspondence? In your capacity as acting National Commissioner or as Lieutenant General Musigili, who is the Deputy National Commissioner?
Lieutenant General Musigidi, who is the acting National Commissioner. Because if I was not acting, another person was acting, it could have been copied or sent to that particular individual that was acting. But in this case, it was sent to me as the acting National Commissioner.
Thank you. Is it standard operation procedure for SAFs that sensitive internal, SAFs matters or even correspondence are shared with, private citizens or private individuals, like what happened with this particular directive, where a private, email address was sent this kind of correspondence? Is it your standard operation procedure?
It is not.
Okay. If it is not, then what steps have you taken, or did you take to deal with this matter? Because it's most likely to happen again.
I inquired, I engaged the Chief of Staff in the office of the minister, and he explained who the email belonged to. The fact that I'm raising it is that of the addressees of this particular email, there was a private email, not a private person. A private email was used. I do have my private email where I'm receiving my private stuff. If it is the official correspondence, I do not receive them on my private email. But if an individual knows my private email and send it there, I will then raise it to them that please do not use my private email for official stuff, because again, I was worried about the leakage of information if the private email is used.
Why I'm asking this is because when we were talking to Brown Mkhwanazi, one of the WhatsApp messages he sent out to some other people was about the directive itself. And looking at your statement, you only actually came to know about this on the 2nd of January. But already, Brown Mkhwanazi had actually, communicated with other people to say, hey, that group that came to invade your house had been actually disbanded, which was already around the 1st. So have you actually made any effort to uncover who this one is? Who the owner of this address is? Because we want to know who exactly, disclosed that, shared that information with Brown Mkhwanazi, because Brown Mkhwanazi is not within SAP's structures.
With my investigations with the Chief of Staff as the person who sent the email to all these people, he did confirm who the email belongs to. Yes, I have done that.
So you would not be prepared to share the identity of that individual with us?
I think I said earlier he did at the time told me who the email belonged to. I'm just forgetting, but it was somebody in the minister's office, one of the staff in the minister's office.
Interested to know the procedures and processes when the national commissioner wants to go on leave, who actually, approves his leave, his absence of leave.
It's the Minister of Police. It's the Minister of Police, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a question that I've already asked, because I'm asking this because the minister ought to have known that the matter which he had dubbed urgent was not going to be actually implemented urgently because the national commissioner was away. Because some of us believe that it was deliberate, it was timed. The dissolution of the PKTT was timed to take place at the time when the national commissioner was not there. Would you agree with that?
That is why
I'm saying that because on the 28th of December, you were also present in Etskawini where there was this funeral. Did he say anything about the dissolution of PKTT to you?
No.
No.
To me, no.
But he was already in his mind. He has made up his mind that the PKTT will be dissolved. And then on the 31st, on Monday, 31st, boom, he actually dissolves that, knowing full well that the national commissioner was away. Would you agree with me that the minister deliberately actually did that, gave that directive, knowing full well that the national commissioner is not there?
He knew that the national commissioner was not in office, and part of the directive or directions that he gave on the directive is that the first report should be presented to him mid-Jan, which for me is the time when the national commissioner will be back in office. I'm just trying to go to where I've attached it to qualify that statement that the minister indicated in that directive that the first report should be done in mid-20th of January, and the final closing report must be submitted on late January. So for me, the 20th of January, it's the period that the national commissioner will be back in office, and late January will be towards the end of January that it's been referred to in the minister's directive. I think it appears on the last paragraph of that directive. And the fact that the chief of staff did send to my office was for me as the acting national commissioner to take cognizance of the directive that was given so that it can be actioned.
Did it surprise you, General, that the Lieutenant General Spear took so much interest in the matter, even though he was not CC'd the email, to a point where he immediately contacted the national commissioner at home and, bypassing you? Did it surprise you that Spear did all of that?
With investigative mind, one will wonder, why did you do that? But at the time when it happened, I thought it's undermining the acting, hence he went straight to the national commissioner himself at the time. But on the 6th of March meeting, when he was saying the directive is to disband, not to have winding down, then it raised other alarm that, but why is it this push that the PKTT must be disbanded? And one will digest that on your own to ask yourself, but why is this happening? Here's the concern was there. And I think with the incidents happen afterwards, it's when one will conclude to say maybe there is something that we don't know that my colleague know.
You're in the meeting of the 5th of March, where you attended the portfolio committee meeting, and where Lieutenant General Khumalo actually presented a report. Did he actually include in his report the successes of the PKTT?
Yes, he did.
What was the reaction of the portfolio committee in that regard?
There were mixed reactions. I believe I will not be specific. I don't even have the minutes, but it was welcomed by some members. It was interrogated to some in the concerns that were raised, perhaps some were the time lapse between the investigation and that report, and whether it is viable to have that. And I think I will recall one Honorable Adams, who also voiced his concern about that presentation that was made. So like I say, it was, as usual, a mixed reactions.
Well, thank you. No, I'm asking this because obviously in Lieutenant General Khumalo's report, there would have been something about the dissolution of, or the disbandment of the PKTT. So I was asking that question in that context, that what was the attitude of the portfolio committee when they heard that the PKTT actually, the minister has directed that the PKTT must be dissolved in spite of its all the successes that Khumalo had presented.
Some members accepted, some members did not accept the progress that the PKTT made, and I think very sharply in the meeting that, however, it must be disbanded because of the number of complaints that would have been received pertaining to a PKTT.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm going to go back to the issue of Mr. Nkabinde. I know that my colleague actually has asked you about the Mr. Nkabinde, and you have responded that it is not normal for chiefs of staff to actually actively participate in the deliberations of the subs, operational matters. But now, Mr. Nkabinde, became part of the triumvirate that rejected your proposals. Now, that proposal having rejected with Nkabinde, who should not have been part of the meeting or the participation in the meeting in the first place, what then would be the status of that decision that you actually took in that particular meeting?
The status was implemented as a way forward of the meeting was that the team needs to go back and include the proposals that were made in the meeting.
Including Nkabinde's inputs?
No, the chief of staff's input was that it must be disbanded as the minister has directed, that way that it must happen. And the way forward of the meeting was that go back, National Commissioner, with your team and revise with the recommendations that are coming from the meeting. So I take the chairperson of the meeting is the minister, and the minister said, go back, revise with the inputs that were given.
Again, with hindsight, have you been able to, you now have a new minister who is in the office.
Acting minister.
Acting minister, I'm sorry, thank you for correcting. Have you been able to actually warn him about these discrepancies? that because he might also be tempted to bring the chief of staff to meetings and allow the chief of staff to participate in the operational matters of the police to a point where he or she participates in the decision-making processes.
I think the decision to participate will differ from one minister to the other. Like I said earlier, there were other ministers that I may, in my position of leadership, have engagements where the meeting will be held, where there will be little or no input that they will make pertaining to the discussion of the management, other than to take notes for the minister and guiding the meeting on the matters that minister will want us to give feedback on. So whether the minister will continue with that, it has not happened up to this point that the minister is in office. So I don't know if it will happen at any time soon, but advising him, no. I did not, personally, I did not. I don't know if the National Commissioner, who is the person that is reporting directly to the minister, has done that.
Well, my last question, Madam, has to do with discipline within the police service. What would you say about that? Because as an outsider, I can see that discipline has actually abandoned our police service. It doesn't seem that the standing order is actually holding anymore. What would you say to that?
Standing orders still hold. They're still very strong. Policing, it's still very much efficient and effective in my view. And where there are wrongdoing, it is a responsibility of a particular commander to correct the situation on the spot. Where it is challenging is where members will behave otherwise and the commander is aware and is doing nothing. So it is still the responsibility of the leadership to correct and bring the South African Police Service to the standards that it requires. So in the main, I think 80% we still have law-abiding or abiding members of the South African Police Service, including myself. I still respect the police, I still respect and I expect the same from my subordinates. If they don't, I call them to order to correct the wrong situation.
Now, in your view, General, what would it take to actually restore the trust of the South African people to the South African Police Service, given all the problems that actually have actually surfaced during this process?
It's the unfortunate circumstances that we find ourselves in as a country. But the assurance that I want to give to South Africans is that there are still men and women in blue out there that still respect the oath that they have taken, and policing is continuing and it will continue. One rotten apple cannot spoil the whole police force. And it is being dealt with. This process that is undertaken, I have full confidence that it will bring back the order that will require and the respect that will require. I wear my uniform. I think some of the members, when I walk in, could not recognize me in private clothes because I'm always in uniform. And I will wear that uniform with pride, especially after this process that I know it is going to bring that dignity and respect in South Africa. This is the only South African police service we have.
Is how Honorable Skosana knows you. The microphone passes to
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable Matthews.
Mine is just clarity, please.
Yeah, no, not now, later.
Oh, okay. It was just on the email,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
private email. Okay, look, let us do clarity.
Let's get Honorable Sols. We will come back to you at the end of the speakers list.
Thank you,
Honorable
my Chair.
Sols, your time starts now.
Thank you, Chair.
She is not in uniform, but she remains General Msikiti.
Indeed, Chair. Good afternoon, General.
Good afternoon, Honorable Sols.
General, as an official who was in a senior position in the police in Gauteng before, based on your experience, is there a drug cartel or drug cartels that has infiltrated Gauteng SAPS?
In my time in Gauteng, I have not experienced, and there were no presentations that were made to me as the deputy at the time of the Provincial Commissioner on the Drug Cartel. Infiltration of the system we now know we had, but I want to say from time to time when there is a collusion and corruption incidents that were picked up will be investigated. I take Honorable Sols, it's reflecting on this matter on what was presented. If it comes to the intelligence operative at that level, that is the person who's advising the operational arm of the service on the intelligence challenges that are prevailing in our ranks. And I take that requires to be investigated by the relevant authorities.
As a general now, you have sight and access to information with regard to safety across the nation. In your position now, is there drug cartels that has infiltrated SAPS?
Presentation was made here. It did not come, I think earlier, I did explain my role, which is in the file, that over and above overseeing, I also oversee the operations in the country. And before that happens, there is a committee on the phases of implementing any operation, either at NATJOIN's level or at National Crime Combating Forum level, where crime intelligence will come and do the presentation on the challenges. So far, sitting in those, as the Deputy National Commissioner now for 3 years, there hasn't been a presentation directly to me or to the forum that talks to the cartel in Gauteng, but yes, that there are members of the police and other law enforcement agencies in Gauteng that are involved in criminal activities, including the reports that you will get from the community complaints. Yes, that was presented, that I know, and that is actioned as it is reported.
If I understand your response correctly, you are saying you cannot say that there are drug cartels that has infiltrated SAPS because you have not received such formal presentations. But what you can say is that you do know that some officials are involved with these syndicates. Is that what you are saying?
Now I know that there are officials that are involved, but I cannot with certainty say they are involved with drug cartel. I think for me is the issue of defining the cartel and knowing that there is an existence of cartel in the country and who are the members of this cartel and who are the members that are involved with the cartel. So it's from that premise that I'm saying I cannot, with certainty, sitting here today in front of South Africa and say I do know that Musikidi X is involved with Mutaung, who is the drug cartel. I do not have that information.
Yes, that's not my expectation. My expectation is, as South Africa, we want to know, is it true that drug cartels has infiltrated SAPS?
I do not know.
All right. Based on your experience with senior officials as well, is General Sibia corrupt?
There must be facts that is correct, and there should be an investigation that will point to that corruption. So I will not again say General Sibia is corrupt if I don't have facts.
Based on what you've heard?
Based on what I've heard.
In the testimonies and the things that has come out, just like you've spoken now about, you are hearing about drug cartels now, and so based on that, you get that information. So based on receiving information now, what is your position?
If investigated and proven, yes, that will be corruption.
But what should we as South Africans say? Should we also say we will, all the allegations that are made, we must just wait before we determine whether or not?
Maybe I'm coming from the premise of having a small glimpse into the law. That law says he who alleges must prove. So if I allege that somebody is corrupt, I need to have a proof that is corrupt.
I agree. Is Minister Mkhwanazi protecting drug cartels?
I do not know.
When you look at the allegation is that December 31st letter was given to protect drug cartels. What's your position on that allegation?
Their allegations, they need to be proven again. And if they are proven to be true, then it is a concerning that, yes, it can be proven that it is the protection. But as of now, it's still allegations that needs to be proven.
Yeah, it's just very frustrating because it is senior officials that is very experienced in investigations, such as General Kumalo, General Mkhwanazi, and others, who makes these allegations. And to date, we have not necessarily received proof of this. Now, you also come to testify, and you have been the acting National Commissioner at the time. What do you think then was the motivation? Because clearly you're saying that what is alleged, you are not sure of that. You're not sure whether the motivation for the letter was to protect drug cartels. Is that your testimony, that you're not sure that that allegation is the motivation? Is that your testimony?
Yes, if these are allegations, and allegations are allegations, you can't allege and you make a statement of fact on the allegations.
That's true, but we're investigating those allegations because one of the allegations was that the letter that was sent and the reason why the word immediate was used was to protect drug cartels. That's the allegation that we're supposed to be testing here. So I don't have anybody else to ask. I must ask yourself, do you understand? So that I understand what is your position on that allegation that we are seeking evidence on now. You have to help us in this exercise for trying to find confirmation of that allegation. What's your response? Do you think the allegation has substance or it doesn't?
With every allegations, there must be findings and there must be recommendation based on comparison or comparative analysis that you have with the evidence that you have or information that you have. I have not sat down and looked at all the allegations that were made, all the facts that were presented, if at the end of the day, one will be for certain, say, if you add A, B, and C, for sure, you will have this. So I have not done that, and because it is still a process, I believe at the end of the day, when the matter is concluded, with all facts that were presented or are presented, we will be in the position to know whether there is a protection that was made to such. But as of now, I don't want to commit and say, yes, it is, because I have not done that analysis myself.
All right. You gave us a supplementary affidavit to your main affidavit. Paragraph 38 of your supplementary affidavit. You change paragraph 33. What do you mean by you made inquiries after this submission and your supplementary affidavit? Paragraph 38. You there?
Yes, I am.
General, you say, I made inquiries after this submission and established that the then Premier of KZN was the other Mr. Mkhwanazi. What do you mean by you made inquiries after the submission?
I consulted my notes because I was in the 2018 meeting, and I realized that it is not the same person that I made reference, and this happened after I have given committee the statement.
But you're not saying that it was a spelling error.
It's not a spelling error, it is a reference that was incorrect. If you read paragraph 33 of my initial
yes, we're going
statement.
There. But I'm trying to go step by step to say that it wasn't a spelling error. You confirmed it's not a spelling error. It is a matter of recollection of a person. You say this is the person, and then after inquiries, you do another statement and say, no, it was not that person. But it wasn't a spelling error that you are correcting. It was you saying a material thing that you said about a person is changing. Paragraph 33, you say, I recall attending a meeting of the Interministerial Committee looking at political killings in KZN on the 12th September in my capacity as the Divisional Commissioner. You then say, Minister Mkhwanazi was the acting premier of the province at the time. Then you say, during the discussions, he raised a concern. Now, what you're saying to us is you were at a meeting. You saw a person. And that person you saw was Minister Mkhwanazi in paragraph 33 in your main statement. You say, the person I saw is Minister Mkhwanazi. Then in your supplementary, you say, the person I saw was not him. You see, that's not a typo or what. That's you saying, I saw somebody, it's him. Then you further say, that person I saw, whom was Mr. Mkhwanazi, said the following. Then you supplement and say, I went to go think about it, it was not the person I saw.
Hence, I have acknowledged.
Let's first agree that's what you did. Is that what you did? Is that what you did? You saw the person?
Yes.
And testified the person you saw was Mr. Mkhwanazi. Then in your supplement, the Minister Mkhwanazi. Then in your supplementary, you come in to say to us, the person I saw wasn't him.
I took the notes. As I was preparing my submission, I came across Premier Mkhwanazi, and I submitted my statement. But recollecting now the figure that was before me, I then realized that, hang on, let me go back and check and verify. And that is when I requested to amend that wrong reference that I have made.
I saw your notes. When you say premium Mkhunu,
Yes.
your recollection should have the face of the person.
I did not.
So
I did
they-
not have the face.
So they look the same.
They don't look the same, but
And in your recollection, you can recall the date of the meeting. You can recall what was discussed. You can't recall the face.
I could not recall the face.
You only recalled the face after testifying under oath who it is first, and then afterwards, you recalled it wasn't the person you thought it is.
I have corrected that because I realized I made a mistake.
Of a face.
Yes. I made the mistake. I considered, acknowledged my mistake.
You see, if it was somebody else, I would have been convinced it's a mistake. But because it's you, General, a senior police official, you don't have the luxury to make such a mistake. But what it does point to is it seems to be a habit of yours to make one statement under oath and then change it later. The same with the macro incident. You have 3 statements. The only consistency it shows is that you do a statement under oath and then change it again. That's why it's a case of perjury.
Can I respond? I think the two comparisons are not the same. The perjury charges, I have indicated that to date, I still do not know the pointer specifically of the contradictions. And in my view, if I can conclude, in my view, I do not see any contradictions. I want to correct again the 3 statements. I did not, and I've been saying since I responded on the matter, including when I submitted my statement in November, that I did not, and I vehemently deny submitting 3 statements. I did not submit 3 statements. Statement 1 and statement 3 is the same. The only difference, one is handwritten, the other one is typed.
You're talking about the content of the statements, but you did submit 3 statements.
I did not submit.
The
Apologies.
The first one was a
Apologies.
written one. The first one was a written one. Correct? It's in your affidavit where you say the first one was a written one, the second one was tempered, the first one was then tempered with, and there was a second one, and the third one was typed.
No, that is not what I said.
What
That
happened?
is not what I'm saying even now.
Okay, what are you
The
saying?
third statement is not the docket statement. It was the file statement that was taken immediately after the first statement was deposed.
Okay, who drafted it?
Who typed?
Yeah.
Who typed? It's my office.
Okay, so it's your statement.
It's my statement.
What
I
are-
agree. But it's not the statement that was meant for the docket.
Yes, I understand, General. What I'm trying to get at is the consistency of your actions, of what you did here and with those statements. You testified here, the consistency of your actions. You testified here about a person you saw. Later on, you change it and say it's not the person you saw. And that's what I'm getting at. But let's move on.
Can I respond?
You're going to have to be very brief on that one so that I can touch on the other.
I don't know the meaning of testified here because I'm appearing before you for the first time on the same matter. I submitted the statement, and before confirming it, I realized the mistake and I corrected that mistake.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. And when I say testified here, I mean here. You have on your main statement a face that you say you saw under oath. Make reference to that face in your notes. Then you come and you supplement that statement and say, when you went to think about it, you realize it's not the person you saw. And so it's hard to believe that someone in your position sees a person in a meeting and then can say, that person said so. It's Minister Mkhunu. I saw him saying so. Then you come and say, no, it wasn't him that said so, it was another person. That's the inconsistency. But it's okay, General.
I will respond quickly.
Okay.
It's not about the position of you being a senior person. It's a human error, it's a mistake that any other person can make. It's just the mistake that I thought when I go through my notes is the same person.
No,
and I realize it's not the same person.
No, I won't make such a mistake. If I see you, like if someone had to ask me who testified, I'm going to say who testified.
Okay.
Then I'm not going to come later and say, oh, I remember. It's not that person that said so. Because under oath, what you said, the Minister Mkhunu said, is material to what we are talking about.
Okay.
What was your position on the Senzo Meyiwa when he was murdered? What was your position that time? We're going to have to go fast now. My time is almost up.
I have just responded that at the time, on the date of the incident, I was the acting provincial commissioner in Gauteng.
So is it true that it's you who called General Sibiya and others about the shooting?
Yes.
Is it true that you were at the hospital when Senzo Meyiwa arrived?
Yes. I found him in hospital, not when he arrived.
Why did you, as a high-ranking officer, find it necessary to be physically present at the hospital?
I did not go to the crime scene. I went to a hospital so that I can give a report to the National Commissioner at the time as the senior police officer and the acting provincial commissioner.
You went to go do a statement?
Not a statement.
What did you go and do?
To report the incident of a high-profile case that has just occurred.
How does being at the hospital assist you in reporting that?
To verify facts.
You wanted to verify whether it was him that was shot?
The reason why I went to the hospital is because the hospital could not function at that moment, and all other police officials were busy with the crime scene itself. So I went to the hospital to assist controlling the crowds. When I arrived at the hospital, I can't recall the time exactly, it was full like FNB Stadium.
So you went to control the crowd?
I just assisted to control the crowd and gave the report to the National Commissioner and the then Divisional Commissioner. And acting as National Commissioner did not take away my responsibility as the Deputy Provincial Commissioner responsible for investigations.
All right. Did you go to the house afterwards?
Yes, I went.
That's where the crime scene was?
With the permission of the investigators. I will not go to the crime scene if investigators are not permitting, including which area of the crime scene I can go into.
So you went to the hospital to control the
and
crowd?
And spend some time, yes.
Please allow me to finish the question.
Okay.
You went to the hospital to control the crowd, and then left the hospital, and then went to the house, the scene of the crime. What did you go and do there?
To get the report.
You had report you needed at the hospital?
Yes.
And report at the house?
Yes.
Take us through what you did when you got there, step by step.
I called the then provincial head of detectives, which was Major General Taiwe, if it is safe for me to get into the crime scene, because the incident shall have happened the previous day around 7:30. It was almost in the morning of the next day when I made my way to the house just to check, is it safe? What can you report to me so that I can update the National Commissioner? I shall have called the National Commissioner at the time, General Piecha, and I have called the then Divisional Commissioner, General Munu, both are not in the service, and gave them the progress report on what is happening on the matter. I was briefed, and I left everybody at the crime scene, called the National Commissioner, give feedback and I left.
So you just got out of your car, looked, called someone, and your report was fine. You have all the information for what you needed for your report.
At the time, yes.
Just get out of the car, call the person. You didn't do anything on the scene.
No.
You just called somebody.
I called before. I wouldn't go to the crime scene if I was not permitted.
And then when you got to the crime scene, you what did you
received the
do?
briefing.
From someone?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
You drove all the way just for someone to brief you on the scene?
Yes.
General, can you confirm under oath that that crime scene was not tampered with?
Crime scene happened around 7. I got to the crime scene around 2 a.m. I cannot confirm under oath that the crime scene was not tampered because I don't know why the report came only around 10 p.m. when the incident happened around 7. So I do not know whether it was tampered or not. I cannot under oath here today, after everything that went into the investigation, for certain say the crime scene was not tampered with. But at the time when I received the report, already it was hours after the incident.
Do you know whether the murder weapon was moved?
I don't know.
It has been stated that Commissioner Piecha at the time ordered the case to be taken away from local detectives and given to other detectives. And apparently it was moved about 10 times. Is this true?
General Piecha's involvement, I think, was days after the incident, immediately, like less than a month after the incident, that the reason why calling General Sibiya, General Taiwe, and the late Brigadier Ndlovu was the magnitude of the case itself, the high-profile matter that the establishment of provincial investigative units, PIUs, was to intervene on matters of this nature. So immediately after realizing the challenges that the case is having, it was moved from the local detective to PIU immediately. So the 10 times, I think we need to qualify the timelines and who would have ordered, because it happened over time, over years, to move from one investigative unit to the other. It's not something that was summoned immediately, today it's here, tomorrow, no. It's something that happened over time, and with the challenges that would have been highlighted at the time that this is happening. Can General Munu oversee this investigation? And when General Munu did that, apologies if I'm taking long, he adopted the same provincial team that was working under him as the divisional commissioner responsible for detective services.
So this reshuffling was so that the more experienced people can deal with it because of the nature of the case?
That was the motivation, yes.
After so many times?
Yes.
Not one was then found to be the one to deal with the case so it can be concluded?
I think at the time, the current investigator was at the province. And it was allocated to other team and it went back. That is where it is still now. What I do not recall is before going back to Brigadier Gininda, how many times did it go back? Because with the decision to take it over to the provincial office, then it means it goes to my commander, to the higher level. And whatever decision that will be taken, it's beyond my control. I can't control that. My commander, you cannot take this docket to this person and not that person.
It's just that it has to be shuffled so many times and still it is not sorted. Did you have a problem, General, with the case being moved out of its jurisdiction?
I did not have a problem because what was important was to solve that particular matter and to get the apex of the investigative capacity that we have. Hence, we have put together that task team. At some point, I was at the division when the meeting was held, and we have collected some of the members or recall some of the members that were elsewhere to form the team, and they were tasked with different responsibilities. So I did not have a problem. Yes, at first it was taken away from my control as the Deputy Provincial Commissioner Crime Detection at the time to the Divisional Commissioner, but Divisional Commissioner is my commander, and it happens even today. If there are challenges with any matter, it will be escalated to the next level.
It being taken away from you, is that indicative of the fact that the feeling of the National Commissioner at the time was that you couldn't handle it?
It was taken away from me with my members. So it was not completely taken away from me because my members were to report progress to the Divisional Commissioner. So it was still the same team of the province.
Just a different commander?
Just the different, but if we are to go and present, it means I will go with the team. I'm still responsible because I will go with the team to present to the Divisional Commissioner.
Is it solved now?
The matter is at court.
I know it's at court, but the part of the SAPS?
It's still with SAPS.
Is it solved? Do you have some conclusive, after investigation, after reshuffling, is there a conclusion?
Yes.
Honorable Sangone.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sangone. Is it you or Honorable Nola?
It is Honorable Nola, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good afternoon, General Mosigidi.
Good afternoon, Honorable
I said Mosigidi. That's what I said. I suspect you're waiting for me to make a mistake, so to correct me. So you say you were the primary recipient of the 31st December letter.
If the two of us are primary,
You
myself
were
as the National Commissioner and this, okay.
You were supposedly the receiver-in-chief.
As the acting National Commissioner is.
Are you aware that Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi and Mr. Kate Matlala had the letter before you saw it?
I had during the testimonies over time that they have received.
How does that make you feel? A letter addressed to you because you are busy in the operations on the ground, which is good. A letter that was directed to you and the National Commissioner is circulating among civilians when you have not even applied your mind on it so that you are able to brief the National Commissioner properly.
It was concerning and it is still concerning. I'm not sure if it was not received simultaneously between myself and the two persons that you are referring. I don't know at what point did they receive the email, but I think I have clarified that the email can be confirmed that I did receive at 17:20. It's just that I did not see that email at the time that it was sent. What time did they receive? It might be that we have received it at the same time because it was sent from another source, which is the Chief of Staff.
Yeah, when you were busy on the ground on the first day of 2025, and us busy were enjoying New Year, Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mkhwanazi were sharing the directives on WhatsApp.
It will appear.
That's evidence that we have here in the committee. Now, let's. I want to get your thinking. General Masemula takes a leave effective from the 31st of December 2024 and is likely to return on the 14th of January 2024. The letter is written on the 31st of December, the day General Masemola departs. And the instruction is that the report must be brought to the minister on the 14th of January 2025 for signature. That's what it said here you said on paragraph 11 that the leave is 31st to the 13th of January. And the report is expected to be signed off on the 14th of January. So in the eye of a lay person like me, it would be seen that this matter was rushed to be completed within the time General Masemola was not in office. What's your take on that?
The 14th is the date that the National Commissioner will report back to office. So it was to be presented to him when he comes back. Not to action the letter, but to prepare the report. I did indicate that I engage him immediately looking at the gravity of the letter and seeking his advice as the accounting officer. And he said he will deal with the matter when he comes back.
On the 3rd of January, a letter is sent to, amongst others, General Spear to prepare a report. What date was the report prepared for?
14th.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When the National Commissioner is back in office.
That's what I'm saying.
To prepare the report, not to action the directive.
To prepare the report to?
To the National Commissioner on the 14th.
For?
The report
for the actioning of the directive. Okay. What was the report for?
The directive of the letter was prepare the report that shall be presented to me on the 20th of January. Yeah. In order for the National Commissioner to prepare for the 20th, remember it's 3 issues that were highlighted on the directive. So 3 reports that were to be presented to him. 1, border policing, disbandment, and the freezing of the post. So the directive was prepared specifically with General Spear because General Spear said to me, I also have contacted the National Commissioner and he directed that we prepare the report. So that email was to prepare the report. And it was specific on General Spear, prepare the report, not disband. Okay. On the email, it says prepare the report that shall be tabled before the National Commissioner on the 14th.
Okay,
I'm just trying to track.
Please explain to us the relevance of Major General Sebola Letoko Mlandu SA on the contents of the letter.
My reference to
I like how you explain that the Mkhwanazi you are talking about is not that other one.
Anticipating this question. Anticipating the question that it must be clear which Mkhwanazi received the letter. So I think the relevance of that paragraph was just to give account of who received the email. Hence, I have mentioned all the names of the people.
But the point is, what are their relevance to the contents of the letter? Remember what Mwango was speaking about, why was the letter not sent to the National Commissioner, which is the acting National Commissioner, in this case yourself. What is the relevance of the other recipients to the letter?
I would not know the discussion between the Chief of Staff and the Minister to whom should the letter be sent. But when I received the email, it was also addressed to them.
In their scope of work, is there anything that is related to the PKTT or the unit or the task teams?
Other than they are in the office of the Minister.
Okay.
And Letoko, and I think you asked about Sibula and Letoko, they are in the office of the National Commission. Mlandu and any other person other than the first 4 recipients are in the office of the minister.
Okay.
15.1.2.3 and 15.4,
Okay.
as well as paragraph 16, all those members are in the office of the minister.
Okay. Let's go to paragraph 16. You say the chief of staff said the email reflected there, the email address reflected there is that of a staff member in the office of the minister.
At the time when I was compiling this report, I did not remember on the 3rd of January whether he said it belongs to Mr. Mlandu or any other person that is not here, because there's one member in the office of the minister that is not here that I know. It's always also working in the office of the minister. So I do not recall. I don't want to make that mistake again.
But what you are sure about is that he said as one of the staff members in the minister's office.
Yes.
Yeah, but on record here, he has said this email belongs to Minister Senzo Meyiwa himself.
Hence, I'm saying I don't want to lie whom, but he did indicate it belongs to one
And
of
it
the.
does seem that there is confirmation to that effect.
Thank you.
Okay, let's pass. Now you see this letter that there is an intention to deactivate the existence of the PKTT. What then, as the acting national commissioner, what became your reaction to it, your first reaction to it? Please take us through.
I became confused.
What was confusing? Because it does seem like in the letter it's specific on 3 particular aspects of what the minister intends to do.
The tone confused me.
Okay.
The tone of
Take
the
us
letter.
through. What did you think about it?
I, as the person who has some experience in operations, if you are to call off the operation, it will at least give the team a time frame of 3 months or so that other processes should be undertaken. So what confused me at the time was it cannot be correct. It cannot be true that I'm seeing or hearing that the team should be disbanded, and the team that has been working for this long, that are having the dockets that were problematic cold cases, the nature of that particular task team that has the investigative capacity. I think the majority of what the task team was doing was the dockets, and more than 100 dockets that were in their possession. It was not going to be feasible for the team to be disbanded in the manner and the tone. I think the tone that I'm referring to is the word that has been going around. I don't know how to spell it.
Which one?
I can't spell it.
Immediately.
Yes.
So, according to you, immediately means what?
Now.
We have made a serious, numerous interpretations.
Me, it's now.
It's now.
Yes.
Okay. So, what was the reaction of the National Commissioner when you informed him of the letter?
He appears not to. The specific words is that I have received this WhatsApp because I think all of us called him that morning. I was not the first person to call him. And on the 31st, the team informed me that they have sent him the WhatsApp sensitizing him of the email that the minister have sent. And he said he did not apply that much attention on it. And now that we are calling, what he will guide me, because the purpose of my call was for guidance, it's that we need to continue or start the process of preparing the reports, and he will deal with the matter when he comes back. Okay. Because I did not see him, he was on the other side. I can only imagine having interacted with him.
But what is confusing us is that numerous testimonies before the Ad-hoc committee say there had been numerous meetings set in preparation for the dissolution of the PKTT and numerous task teams. So your confusion is confusing us also. But if that's the case, you are the top brass of the South African Police Service. You ought to know that there is a plan to do away with task teams on the basis of effectiveness, on the basis of the study. What's the name of the study?
Murray report.
Yeah, there is a study
It's
that,
called Murray report.
that actually helped the department to look at the organizational design. There is an issue of the budget as well. Now, if you are the acting National Commissioner on the 31st, but both you and the National Commissioner are surprised with the letter when there would have been preparatory meetings towards the letter.
Because in my recollection, there wasn't preparatory meeting to disband the PKTT.
Okay.
In my recollection, it might have happened in the meetings that I was not part of. In the meetings where I was part of, reference will be the meeting that was held on the 1st of November, 2024. Mention was made to present what the task teams are, what are they doing. The work study came to the fore, and recall this work study, it's 2019 work study. We are in 2025. So it cannot be that there was engagements in preparation for the dismantlement of the PKTT. That's one point. The second point, that it will not be correct that it was preparing. When the minister took office, all the task teams that were in existence were presented to the office of the minister. So he was aware of the number of task teams that are national intervention task teams, and he said he will support them. They cannot be disbanded because he's in office. He will support the operations, he will support the National Commissioner on operational matters, and he will guide on policy matters.
Okay.
And shortly before the establishment, I think in December of the same year, there was a new task team in the purview of the minister that was sent to Eastern Cape to deal with the taxi killings. And taxi killings were also mentioned on the letter of the 1st of November. So it's November, we mentioned the PKTT, you also mentioned the taxi killings. But in December, there's a direction to intervene in Eastern Cape because there was a problem with the cases of tax, and it were dockets as well in that space. There was a problem in the Western Cape. I have sent the team, Lockdown 3, in the Western Cape to deal with Cape Flats. Okay. So it cannot be that task teams should be disbanded.
Okay, so I take it from your statement that both you and the National Commissioner were ready to accede to the call for the dissolution of the PKTT, except to the fact that the mannerism, the manner in which the task team ought to be disbanded was the crux for different views on the approach. Is that so? That you were ready to do it, but you had a different form of doing it.
It's correct, which is the standard procedure that we undertake when you dissolve the team that has been established.
What stopped you from proceeding with that, with the dissolution process?
That is why the presentation of the gradual or winding down, because with every operation that you have, prior to the dissolution,
no, I'm saying, General Musigedi, the letter has not been withdrawn. It's the 3rd of March today, 2026. The letter was returned on the 31st of December, 2024. What has stopped you from proceeding for the dissolution of the PKTT?
Because there was no conclusive directive to dissolve.
Okay.
On the 6th of March, 2025, the direction was to have a revised plan that talks to the winding down of the team or gradual disbandment of the team.
Okay, so do you think that the directive to disband the existence of the PKTT must proceed? No, I'm not putting you in a corner. I see how you are looking at me. Do you think that we should proceed?
It's a task team. And if...
Look, I'm asking this because we're investigating this matter.
Yes.
And there are a lot of allegations surrounding it. We are concluding our process. We are to make findings. We are to make recommendations. So would you advise us to recommend that, well, the directive, there's nothing wrong with the directive, and therefore the dissolution must proceed?
The fact that we presented or advised on the gradual demobilization...
Yeah, even if it's gradual, even if it's immediate, even if it's sudden, but generally, the dissolution itself, would you advise us to recommend that there must be process on dissolution of the PKTT? What is your take?
Which might be replaced by another task team, because
Right.
task teams are still continuing and we still...
No, we don't know
establish
about what will replace it. We're talking about the PKTT.
I will not advise.
Okay. So did General Masemula over the phone with you brief you that he has spoken with General Sbe over the phone over this matter?
No.
Why on paragraph 25 do you sound like you doubt if even the call between General Masemula and General Sbe was in existence?
Because he did not mention...
You say at the end, I don't know whether that conversation with the National Commission actually took place or not. That's casting doubt on what General Sbe is saying. Why do you think that there is a possibility of him lying about the call?
Not necessarily lying, but because I spoke to the National Commissioner, and National Commissioner did not confirm speaking to other people.
Did you ask him if he has spoken to any person?
I did not ask him.
Okay, so we get the information about the phone call for the first time from General Sbe, but you are casting doubt on it. Why do you think that it's possible that General Sbe can come and lie to the acting National Commissioner about a phone call between him and his boss?
Maybe not to lie, but my concern was, why do you talk to the National Commissioner knowing very well that the National Commissioner is on leave?
No. You say you don't know if... General Sbe briefs you about his cell phone and Masemola's first cell phone. And you say you don't know if this thing he is telling you is actually correct.
I did not know, but I did not make follow-up with the National Commissioner if he has spoken to General Sbe or not. I did not do
Do you hold General Sbe in high regard? Apologies for putting you in a corner, but please answer.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Don't.
Do you think that General Sbe is the rotten apple you are talking about?
Until proven, no.
So what
I
is your
don't think.
suspicion?
Until proven.
You are running away. Okay, let's now talk. You say on the 3rd of January, then the General Togo writes a letter to the affected sister departments or government entities that are part of the PKTT, as it is a multidisciplinary team. No, you say on paragraph 27, Brigadier Togo sent 3 emails to various heads affected. So you'd assume that it's NPA and everyone was part of the PKTT. Or I don't know.
No, my reference here, it was supposed to be clear that within the department, because there were different other environments within SAPS itself that was affected by the directive.
Okay. Now I get you now that you explain it. So the PKTT is a product of an interministerial committee. Do you think that the should have been at least a resolution of the Interministerial Committee for the deactivation of the PKTT and a possible replacement of the PKTT as a recommendation.
I think so, and I believe so.
You believe so?
Yes.
We have asked here Mr. Cedric Nkabinde of what becomes his role in the SMS meetings. And he said it's only to support the minister. Are you telling us that the Chief of Staff actively participate in deep policing matters, in the senior management meetings, and he would have actually lied to Parliament?
I think I also confirm that his role, he's a senior manager, remember he's a chief director, in that position of chief of staff. He do support the minister. And it's a common practice that the minister cannot sit alone. He will need somebody that will assist, especially at the level of the chief of staff, because he is the chief of staff that will, after the meeting, have to direct different directorates within the minister's space for the reports, including to keep the minutes of the meeting. So it wasn't wrong for Mr. Nkabinde to be in that meeting.
So Mr. Nkabinde disagreed with you and General Masemola that there must be a processed way of deactivating the PKTT, and said immediately. Do you think that the deactivation was rushed?
I believe so, yes.
Do you think there were external forces influencing the rush?
With the evidence that has been laid in different platforms, again, if proven, I will say, yeah, this suspicion or these allegations were informed by these particular forces outside of the service.
Okay. So you have mistaken on paragraph 33. I was glad that you corrected it on the supplementary affidavit, because I was asking the Chief Whip here on the correctness of your paragraph 33. Because at that time, the Chief Whip was a leader in KwaZulu-Natal. So because Mr. Senzo Meyiwa was last a premier in KwaZulu-Natal in 2016. So have you mistaken him with Willis Mkhwanazi?
That's correct.
Okay, so you officially withdrew that?
I have officially withdrew it. It was a pure mistake, and I profusely apologize for making such a mistake.
Apology accepted.
Thank you.
What parts of the directive do you think that are impeding or tampering with operational issues?
The filling of the posts, for me, have adverse, which even to date, we are unable to, KZN in particular, that has a vacancy, Western Cape has a vacancy of the head. As we all know that this is one of the 4 provinces that we are having problems. If filling of the post and senior management posted, the department has, in terms of the DPSA, have only 3 months to fill them. Not that other posts are filled, but the critical nature of the crime intelligence in the police, I believe it is way too much. 1. 2, operations, with my experience in the operations and how operations are developed, what needs to go into the plan of demobilizing. Yes, I believe that was a concern for me. The 3rd, on the border management, at first, the minister wanted the review, and we presented the review. As I've alluded earlier, that preceding meetings over time it became clear that the presentation that was made to the minister was the incorrect one that might have informed him of wanting the review. Although the initial letter did not say the police existence at the border needs to be reviewed, he just said, how are you going to work in that space to make sure that there is efficiency and effectiveness of the border management control in the country. So the first two issues, I think, yes.
Let's pass that part. Then your money gets stolen with your belongings. What did you say was the source of the money again?
S&T.
I didn't get you. Talk about funerals, you talk about a lot of things. What is the source of the 10,000 rands that was in your car and got stolen?
It was the S&T from the department as I was undertaking an
Why
overseas.
was it cash? Because it is our belief. We do have an S&T in Parliament as well, but it is directly deposited to the account you use for your salary. Why was it on cash in your car?
Normally, I take cash depending on when the approval was granted before the trip, because normally it will reflect on the account 2 days. Even coming here, I had to take cash to pay the hotel.
So you mean
it's
you
norm-
mean
it's a
Jaram
norm.
Sigidi? Sure. Thank you. Honorable Skosan will proceed on the rotten April thing.
Yeah, he's on the microphone now.
Let me check the time. It's 17:13. Right. I'll go up to 17:43. Thank you.
No. Before you start, we must explain this. Yeah. Okay. The first speaker, when they started speaking, it was at 41. And that is why when Honorable Nomvalo spoke, it was until 11. And then when Honorable Sols had to start questions, Honorable Matthews wanted to make a statement. And there has been a time lapse. So it must be explained why the lapse is now at 43, it's no longer at 41 or 42. And you have not started, yeah. That's why I want to check the time before you start speaking. So for the 2 minutes that we have used now, your time starts at 5:15. Yes, and then you will run for 30 minutes. Your time starts now.
Ngikuthokoze Mkhwanazi. Ngiyakulotshisa General.
Dumela, Honorable Member.
Namhlanje ilanga labomma lokukhuluma isikhethu noma ngabe ukhuluma yiphi language. Ngicabanga ukuthi nesikhethu esiyasazi mhlawumbe ngibethe nesuthunyana lapha nesipedi mara ningangihleka ni mara ngizokhuluma isikhethu, but for the sake of time ngakubetha isikhuwa msinyana.
Is the language called Skit?
Isikhethu isindebele.
Oh, I
Iye.
didn't know.
Uyasazi mara isindebele ngithi.
Ke mme wa ka Letebele sena.
Asidebele ke indebele. Yeah, ngithokoze Lieutenant General, the Deputy Commissioner. Chair, I think in this country there was this misconception that the Deputy Commissioner is only General Sibiya. There's 3 Deputy Co-Commissioners, and one of them, I think, is yourself. Am I right?
Yes, you're correct.
And you've been in the police for many years. Your CV is very impressive, I must say. And I guess I'm going to start with one question which has been going on, and I've asked many generals about this matter of Senzo Meyiwa. I'm not sure whether you were still with the province at that time when Senzo Meyiwa was killed.
That's correct.
You were still with the province?
Yes, I was in the province.
Now, in your opinion, are you happy with that investigation from the police of Senzo Meyiwa? Let's forget about the court for now. What is happening in court is something else. But are you happy of what exactly happened in the scene where Senzo Meyiwa was killed in Fostoras?
With what was presented to me by the team, I think they were still on the right track.
I'm sorry?
With what was presented to me by the team at the moment, I think I did indicated earlier that at the time that the incident happened, I was the acting provincial commissioner in the absence of the then provincial commissioner, Lieutenant General Mutiba.
Yes.
What was presented to me, I was satisfied that the team is still on the right track. What differs will be the pressure that the team had to finalize the case with speed.
So are you convinced that the people who were arrested are the right people?
I'm convinced.
And are you convinced that it was correct for General Sibia to be on the scene on the day?
I called him.
I'm sorry?
I called him to the scene.
So it was correct for him to be in the scene because he said he was called by someone.
I called him. He should have
not
said
necessarily you.
Yeah, but I'm confirming that it's me who called him. Maybe somebody else called, but I called him precisely because he was the provincial head of DPCI at the time.
Because what he presented on the Matlanga Commission, he said that almost everyone who's in the DCPI was under him.
In Gauteng.
In Gauteng.
Yes, he's correct.
Yeah. Now, I think the displeasure of the family, and because of Senzo Meyiwa, he was the national hero. There's issues, there's holes. They poke a lot of holes in this matter, hence the matter is still in court. We are watching with interest of what is happening there. But there's an issue of unhappiness that the conduct of the police in that scene where Senzo was killed leaves much to be desired.
It is a regrettable state of affairs, but what the team presented at the time that they attended to the crime scene, hence the provincial leadership of the detectives, I believed that they did what was expected of them at the time.
So what was the role of General Sibia in that incident?
Normally with high-profile cases, you will have a multidisciplinary team so that they can guide and assist one another. Both General Sibia and General Taiwe were the head of detectives. General Taiwe and General Sibia was the head of the Hawks.
So there's no interference at all, in your view?
From him, no. At the time, no.
At the time?
At the time.
And of what we know now, what would be your view?
With what is presented, again, must be investigated and he must be proven.
Now, General, let's come to the statement. I just want us to clear these paragraph, and I think I said it to you, because I want us, because we are under oath and you know, there's a case against you of perjury, so I don't want to compromise you. I just want us to clear this once and for all. Paragraph 29. On March 6, 2025, I attended a meeting with Minister, the Commissioner, the Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Sibia, Lieutenant General Kumalo, Chief of Staff, Gabinde, and the Regional Commissioner, Detective Forensic Service, Lieutenant General Sintumeling, and Lieutenant Colonel from Crime Intelligence, Lieutenant General Kumalo, made a presentation on PKTT at the meeting. And I think Honorable Nomvalo said it. I think he started to say the presentation proposed that the establishment and the disbandment of PKTT, if considered, will take form of transition from the National Political Task Team to the component serious and violent crime, murder and robbery, within the division of the Detective and Forensic Services. Then when you go to paragraph 36, I do not recall any meeting in which it was suggested or even directed that the task team as a whole should be demobilized or disbanded. I can confirm that I was not in any meeting where the minister raised the issue of the PKTT, in particular on the disbandment of the PKTT. I can recall the initial engagement with the minister in terms that he should, whether certain operational matters and initiatives were presented, indicated that the new ministry support existing initiative and that the status quo of the current operational intervention in various provinces must be maintained. He reiterated that he has full confidence of the National Commissioner. Now, these two, they contradict each other. I would just want you to clear up, and then we start to depart on this, what we presented and what you have attached on your submission.
Paragraph 36, maybe chronologically, was supposed to come before paragraph 29, but it's no, I will clarify that a confusion that you are raising. Paragraph 36 is referring to matters prior to the letter of the 31st, meetings that were held prior to the meeting of the 31st. And I think I was looking at the minutes of the meeting of the 1st of November before the directive was issued. On paragraph 29, it is now where the team was requested to present, and we were discussing now. It's after the 31st of December 2024. And paragraph 36 is making reference to any other meeting prior to the 31st of December 2024.
So it's the issue of the chronology here that
it's the issue of chronology, yes.
Thank you. Now, General, because the issue of the PKTT is being exhausted many, many times here. Now, I just want to say that the honorable members, I think they've asked that because you've been in, I think at that time you were an acting national commissioner, am I right?
That's correct.
And you only knew about the matter on the 2nd, not on the 1st, am I right?
I did not pick it up. It was on the email, but because it's festive season, it's the 31st, I did not open the laptop. I was on the ground.
Yeah, in
so
fact,
the emails I did not see, and I will not say the emails will be in the office. I have the iPad, I have the laptop, but because I was already on the ground, I did not see the email on the 31st.
Yeah, in fact, we were surprised because it happened on the 31st when everybody was in a good mood. In fact, the minister took that decision unilaterally so, but I think that has been canvassed enough here in this committee. Let's come to this issue of Paul O'Sullivan. Paul O'Sullivan, do you have confidence in him?
I don't have confidence.
Do you have trust in him? Do you think that this so-called forensic, I call it fraud, for a forensic company, because of what is presented to me now, alleged for now. And I'll have some backing on that, but that will be the decision of this committee at the end, whether is it authentic or is it involved in all these shenanigans which happens in the top echelons of the SAPS and other security agencies in this country.
Okay. Maybe to conclude on the confidence part,
yes,
that now after everything that is happening, you do not just trust the person. I think the intuition of a police officer in me, you do not just trust. I think it was coming from there and after everything that was said. But in terms of forensic, I will not, without facts, doubt that the forensic investigation team that he was involved with was authentic.
Yeah, because himself is not a qualified forensic investigator. I mean, we found out here he claimed to be an engineer, and now he knows beyond reasonable doubt that he's not. But be that as it may, we will, because he's coming back here. Let me ask you now on this matter, because Honorable Manteis, I think, is the one who asked about him. Because it was alleged that the matter, let me start by asking you, do you know Bandile Masuku?
No.
Have you ever spoken to him?
No.
Now, because there was an allegation, why I'm saying that?
Bandile Masuku in Gauteng.
An MEC.
No, I know him.
At that time, you know him.
I know him.
Have you ever spoken to him?
No, I don't think so.
You don't remember,
unless
maybe.
When we are attending an event in Gauteng.
Because if you remember well, there was an allegation because your Paul O'Sullivan and these some journalists, Stratcom journalists, Mariam Tam, you name them, Karin, the name is Van Veek, Paula Van Veek and others. There was an allegation that a forensic report which was commissioned by Gauteng Health MEC Bandile Masuku has cleared him of any wrongdoing in the Gauteng personal protective equipment scandal. And the allegation was that the person who in fact sent the integrity committee of the ANC and that you recommended Paul O'Sullivan to Bandile Masuku. And in return, Paul O'Sullivan made a report to clear Masuku and he sent that report to the Integrity Committee of the African National Congress. But the allegation is that Paul O'Sullivan was recommended by yourself. Is that true?
It's not true.
Now, you never send any email which recommended Paul O'Sullivan or copy him or singing his praise on the issue of Jackie Sleepy?
No, I don't remember.
Are you aware that ANC Integrity Committee preferred Paul O'Sullivan on the report over the report of the SIU in concluding or alleged Masuku and Loiso involvement in the PPE issue in Gauteng?
I'm not aware.
You are not aware at all?
No.
So you distance yourself from this?
I do distance myself. I did not recommend. I did not send email recommending.
So you never recommended Paul O'Sullivan anyway?
I don't remember doing so.
Now, is it true that the SAPS, in fact, let me start by asking you this question, because Paul O'Sullivan said he opened dockets. You can go to any of his interview. He'll say that I've opened a docket. In my understanding, a docket can only be opened by a policeman or policewoman. Am I right?
You are correct. He can give statement, but he cannot open the docket.
But he's the one who's saying he's opening docket against people. It's not me.
No.
And I'm saying, what are you going to do about that? Because now you know that he has done that and he's doing that and brazily so, boasting that I've opened a docket against this person and this person. I've said this police station are open, not opening a case. It says it's opening a docket.
Maybe we need to clarify which context of opening a docket. Maybe the reference of him opening a docket is when he either give the statement that will then be taken into the cover, SAPS 3M, but he will not open the docket himself because he cannot commission a docket. He will give the statement only the commissioner of oath. In the case of a docket, a police officer will have to commission the statement that he's presenting. He is not a police officer.
Yeah, in fact, because he's coming back, he'll have to answer us on that because it's himself many times that is opening docket. And I was surprised as well that understanding that there's this allegation that he has contaminated the top echelon of SAPS, IPID, IDEC, and if I may ask you, in terms of IDEC, or IDEC, in your view, for them to have all the powers of arresting, because we are told that they are intimidating you as well as top echelons in the police service, what is your view on that? Can you make a comment?
They do have arresting power that was conferred to them on the proclamation that was made by the president. So they will arrest. But intimidation, I think they need to investigate cases to arrest members, and it should be the matter that warrants the arrest. They have not intimidated me because I think you said you and others. I have not yet been intimidated. Maybe they are still coming.
Them.
Maybe they are still coming. So far, they haven't.
And in terms of IPID, are you happy with the way they conduct themselves?
Look, they are my colleagues. We are working, we are engaging. The fact that it's taking long to finalize my matter, the fact that they had the docket that they were not supposed to have, will not make me not to have confidence in them. I think it's the matter of correcting what is wrong. That is what I believe in.
In your submission, you submitted one of the honorable members' a statement, a sworn affidavit, Honorable Fidel Adams. Am I right?
That's correct.
He made a lot of allegations here about nepotism. He says that Ms. Kutso Makwela, the commissioner's daughter-in-law, reportedly joined SAFs under the circumstances which normally recruitment and vetting process appear to have been bypassed. It's alleged that the background check, qualification verification, and the competitive interview process were ignored. Is it true?
I don't know. I'm not in the HR space. Maybe HR can confirm whether that happened or not.
But have you ever heard of that, or is it first time?
I saw it on the statement.
Now, there's allegation against you to say that there's a cover-up in the case where your cell phone, and I think you explain it vividly for us here, to say that because of the SIM card, I think if you have to clear yourself, this is the time, that he is alleging, because he's still going to come here as well, so it's good that we are here before him, that the evidence suggests that the stolen cell phone linked to a theft was traced to Pulani Mutawu, and relevant to the incident was reportedly obtained. However, the case was abruptly closed by Major General Sibula, and there's no record confirming whether the footage was reviewed by independent investigators. Major General Sibula, a close ally of a national commissioner, was assigned to oversee and close the file, which raised serious concern about a conflict of interest. My question is, because he is alleging that this was closed prematurely. Because you remember that you said yourself that you were still traumatized because you were once upon a time held at gunpoint. You know, hence I'm saying this country, I don't know what is happening. At your level, a general, people have the audacity to come and hold you at gunpoint. Now, understanding that this troubled you, as you said, but for him to allege that you are concealing an evidence is a serious allegation. Can you really just clarify the issue of a SIM card, that you borrowed a phone, you know, a handset, you know, and perhaps you did the so-called SIM swap, I guess. I don't know, but can you explain for us in short?
Because of my position and the operational nature, I cannot go beyond 2 to 4 hours without a contact.
Yes.
So immediately when I reported the case, I used the other phone, and the office started the process of getting the SIM swap, and they did the SIM swap and presented the card to me that they don't have a handset. Therefore, I will need to find the handset in the meantime, and the following morning, because it was already late, they will make arrangements with the office that is having loan phones to borrow the handset. So in the meantime, as I was waiting to get the loan phone. I had to improvise to get the handset. I did not have an alternative handset, hence I borrowed the handset to insert the SIM card so that I am reachable. So that is the reason why the phone was activated. It is the SIM swap that was activated whilst I was awaiting to have either a loan phone or a replacement of the phone, considering that the matter happened on a weekend. So I had to find the handset immediately so that I'm reachable, including that if the investigators will want to get hold of me, they will reach me. So I had to activate my number.
Thank you very much, General. How many times have you acted as the acting national commissioner in this country, if you remember?
If I include the past week, including weekend until Sunday when the national commissioner was out of office, I think it will calculate to 11 times.
Now, you've got an extensive experience for 36 years or 38 years, if I remember. That's what you told us today.
36 and a half, to be precise.
Now, I want to go to the issue of border management, BMA. The role of the Border Management Authority and yourself, do they have the capacity as well to arrest, to open dockets? What is your view on that as well? Like, as I ask you about IDEC, I'm asking you now about this BMA.
With the powers conferred on the BMA officials and in terms of
Section 5 of the BMA.
Section 4, 2, and Section 5
Yes.
of the BMA Act, yes. But their arrest, they will hand over the arrested person immediately to the police for further processing. That is why it is important that the police should not work very far from them.
Do you agree that we have serious challenges in the border post?
I
Entry
agree.
and exit.
I agree, we have.
And what are you doing about it?
Prior to this directive that was given to have a revised plan, the Directors General of the cluster have already summoned the nut joints to establish what we call priority committees, to have teams and persons that will work. There will be a chairperson of the priority committee that will later on report to the nut joints leadership, which is myself, alongside the other two co-chairpersons and the DDGs, the Deputy Director Generals of the department, is appointed to be sitting on the nut joints.
Now, this, I think you've raised the issue that the BMA is not mandated to detect or disrupt criminal networks. Am I right?
That's correct.
And the power, furthermore, do not override the need for a dedicated capacity to detect and all those illegal activities as is exercised by SAPS. Now, my question would be, with the current scenario which South Africa is facing of illegal immigrants, I see you spoke about rotations, that they are rotating members. In terms of percentage, are you happy as the management of SAPS, especially as a Deputy National Commissioner, of what is happening in our border post? With all illegal immigrants coming in and out, posting, videos, how easy, and understand that as well, the South African Defense Force are involved as well in the issue of making sure that this country is protected. But this alleged corruption in the border, post, hence I'm asking, what measures are you taking? Because this thing, it's viral. It's like we don't have borders in this country.
I believe we do have borders. We just need to have a proper management of the borders, hence the establishment of the priority committee that Director Generals are aware of, and the fact that we are working side by side with each other in the borders. And I think what will have to come out clear is that the capacity will never enough,
Yes.
looking at the magnitude of the problems that we are having at the borders.
With my 4 minutes left, I'm going to be quicker as well. The issue as well, because yourself, you raised it, that there's a high volume of illegal activities, such as smuggling, human trafficking, illicit trade, is often concealed under the guise of legitimate cross-border movement. Now, don't you think that there's duplication between yourself and the BMA? Hence, we have this high volume.
I don't think there is a duplication. There's a need for the coexistence. Hence, BMA will coexist with other structures such as customs, as well as the National Defense Force. Equally with the police that will then be discharged with a classical policing at the borders.
Now, you remember that there was a plane landed at OR Tambo.
Yes, I know.
Those people had nothing. How possible is that? How do they bypass the immigrations, wherever country they come from, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Ethiopia, or anywhere in the world, or Nigeria, to come to our airport, land there? What is your take on that?
Maybe
Because
to correct that they did not pass.
Yes.
It became
Didn't pass,
topical.
yes.
It became topical because the team was alert and they were able to intercept. Engagements happened. I was called. I engaged the directors generals responsible, and the necessary implementations were undertaken, including at the ministerial level. So they did not pass any security measures. They were attended to.
Yes, I understand that. But what I was saying is that they had to be kept for hours and hours at OR Tambo. As you said, SADC, like myself, is it a problem of the SADC countries or PAP for them to allow people to leave their countries and say, you know what, South Africa is free for all? You know, but because they came with a aircraft, maybe that's where the problem was. But if they were using what these our neighboring countries are doing, crossing through the rivers, it means they would have been in this country, am I right?
Should they have used
Yes.
other forms?
Yes, yes.
And we should recall as well that they used a chartered flight.
Yes.
And it was intercepted because information have reached the intelligence communities that were operating.
Thank you. General, my last comment is that General Mkhwanazi was very brave to go in public and say there's a rot in this country. We have to reset the country. And I hope that with your experience as well in the police service and your colleagues, let's not let down this country. Let the South African Police Service maintain its integrity. And let's reset, because we know now, even if it's still allegation, but there's some evidence which even a kindergarten kid can see that there's a problem in this country. Do you accept that?
I do accept.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, General.
Jali. Honorable Cameron. Honorable Cameron.
He sent his apologies to you, Chair, so I'm filling in for him.
Okay. Honorable Kola Barnett. Your time starts now.
Thank you, Chair. Lieutenant General Mosikili, you've admitted that the email that we were discussing earlier originated from home13404@gmail.com. Now, given that the source was never traced or authenticated, how did you or anyone in your office verify the authenticity of what was presented as a ministerial directive?
Whether the email is correct or not.
Where it was from?
It,
could have
no,
been
the email with the directive came from the Chief of Staff, not from email home 13404.
Okay.
The email home at 1304 dot,
yes.
I think it's here. It's one of the recipients of the email that was coming from the official email, SAP's email of the Chief of Staff.
So we don't know who that belongs to. It could be a hacker, it could be anybody. And no one has ever traced where that email went to, came from, who it's linked to.
I think I did indicate that with my engagement with the Chief of Staff, he did indicate that it is in the office of the ministry. And it was confirmed in this meeting that it belongs to the minister himself.
A person?
Yes, to the minister himself. I think confirmation is that Mr. Nkabinde said it's the minister's email.
Okay.
Private email, yes.
Yes, private one.
Yes.
In your capacity as chair of NatJoints and given its mandate to coordinate national security, did NatJoints receive any formal intelligence or informal warnings prior to the 6th of July 25 regarding the existence of a sophisticated criminal network allegedly infiltrating the SAPS, the NPA, and the State Security Agency?
No, it was never received by NatJoints.
If no such intelligence was received, how do you explain what appears to be basically a complete intelligence failure at the highest level of national security coordination?
It may not amount to intelligence failure. And I will qualify because General Kumalo is part and parcel of the NICOC, and he has this information. It might have been discussed in the NICOC. NICOC is National Intelligence Coordination Committee of the infiltration within the ranks. But I think the infiltration needs to be qualified as well.
Yes.
That what I referred to earlier is the cartel, not necessarily on any other matter of infiltration or the involvement of collusion. I think even myself in some of the presentations that I would have made before the Portfolio Committee of Police, we did consider that there is a problem of collusion, there is a problem of corruption. It is living with us. I cannot sit here and deny it knowing that it's happening. Yes. The only issue that I cannot confirm is on the drug cartel.
You see, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi described what he termed a functioning criminal network embedded within the state. Now, did NatJoints ever discuss the rather extraordinary fact that he felt compelled to go public, flanked, of course, by armed special task force members, because he apparently had no confidence in the internal security channels under your coordination?
He never raised it with the NatJoints per se, and prior to the July 6th, there has been a number of operations and task teams that were formed, including those that will be coming from intelligence community itself and presenting to the NatJoints and the structures on matters to be attended to. And I think the issues of criminal networks, in simplest terms, where you will have a form of collusion, it is a value chain in the criminal network where you will need to have somebody at the NPA to know that your matter will go, and you will have somebody from the police that you know if the investigation is done and it's presented to NPA to prison. That is the network that I think General Mkhwanazi is referring to. Hence, I am confirming the issues of collusion, that when you have the chain, in the chain of criminal justice, you will get away with some of the things. And I will sit here and confirm that that has been detected and that is happening. That is why I will talk on number of officials, both from Home Affairs, that in the cluster itself, that were found to be on the other side of the law, members of the South African Police Service that were found to be on the other side of the law, and they are all have been investigated and sent to prison. The NPA, I think you know that there are senior, very senior, some acting NDPPs, DPPs that were found on the other side of the law, and they were dealt with accordingly. So actions were taken all the
So
time.
they were dealt with prior to him making his...
Prior to him making his.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the president described the allegations as a matter of grave national security concern. Was NatJoints consulted before he placed the then Minister of Police on leave?
Before placing the Minister of Police?
Yes, did he come to NatJoints? Did he consult with you at all before placing the then minister on leave?
No, I don't think, no, it's not the matter of NatJoints to place,
And what about the suspension of Deputy National Commissioner Sibiya? Did he mention this to you?
No, it's part of the administrative justice. It's not part of NatJoints. It's actually the operational arm of the cluster to investigate, to undertake all the operations.
So his appointments had nothing to do, they had no reason to be brought to you?
To NatJoints, no.
Okay.
No.
Now, the General Mkhwanazi presented WhatsApp communications and financial records allegedly linking associates of the minister to criminal suspects and suggesting advance notice of police operations. Have you conducted, as NatJoints, conducted your own internal audit to determine whether other sensitive operations were perhaps similarly compromised?
I think in this case, when such is detected, it will then be referred to a relevant investigative body to continue with the investigation. It is now beyond the NatJoints itself.
Now, the task team investigation linked, sorry, could I ask you to lean back, Albert? Sorry, thank you so much. The task team investigation linked weapons ballistically to at least 10 high-profile murders, including the assassination of DJ Somebody. Now, given that NatJoints is meant to oversee intelligence fusion across provinces, why was this apparent modus operandi of a single hit squad operating across provincial lines not identified and disrupted at an earlier stage?
It is the investigation that is already on the investigative arm of the cluster itself. So there is no need for a proper further coordination of the NatJoints bodies to do, because it is already on the task team that is multidisciplinary in nature that is doing that investigation. So there is a distinction between the matters that will come to the NatJoints and from the NatJoints to be operationalized. Sensitive matters of this nature, you will not want to see that bigger team of the NatJoints to be dealing with the matter that needs to be dealt with by the investigative capacity. So in this case, it was detected by the already established PKTT, and they will undertake that operational requirements that it's sitting with information at hand. So it will not require to go back to NatJoints, because if that happens, there is a possible leak and infiltration of that particular information.
Did NatJoints interrogate the rationale behind the disbandment of what many have described as a highly successful task team?
No.
No. So you just accepted the developments without actually scrutinizing what was going on?
Because there's already a project in place, and the project is reporting to the higher body from the NatJoints.
Okay. The President's now established a 147.9 million rand Judicial Commission of Inquiry into matters that a single provincial commissioner exposed in a 1-hour press briefing. Now, given NatJoint's mandate to ensure coordination and prevent exactly this type of systemic failure, do you accept it's possible that NatJoint actually has failed in its duty, looking at what the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has stated?
I don't believe NatJoint has failed.
So what personal accountability do you take for not bringing the crisis to the fore through formal national security channels before it actually reached the stage where he felt he should stand up and speak as he did?
Maybe I should qualify that by making an example. NatJoints have now developed the organized crime strategy or plan. From the strategist plan, now it's going to be operationalized. There is no need for the investigative team or that task team to come to the broader meeting of NatJoints to come and present, but rather to report to the structure. With the development of every plan, there will be a governance structure that is developed within the plan itself that will determine where the reporting lines should be. In this case of the example that I'm making, after the team, we call it the National Organized Crime Combat Group, their reporting line will be to the NatJoints chairpersons, not the broader NatJoints meeting, and will report to the JCPS ministerial team and to the National Security Council. So it's not all matters, depending on the weight or the gravity of the matter, that will go back to the lower structures. It will then be reported to the higher authority as approved.
Was this formulated before his press conference or after his press conference?
No, it's a recent, the example that I'm making is the recent.
We can say as a result of, perhaps?
Part of, yes.
Partly.
Yes.
Okay. We understand the PKTT was funded via national allocations, but there have been many claims from KwaZulu-Natal, from whence I come, that stations are experiencing severe resource shortages, of officers having to pay for detainees' food, tires and vehicle repairs paid for out their own pockets because funds, they claim, were reallocated to the PKTT. Now, from your position, is there any evidence that such funding decisions were being taken?
No, it's not correct.
Okay.
And I think General Dimpani, my apologies for interjecting, General Dimpani did indicated how funds are allocated and how accountability goes into the funds that are allocated to the provinces, to the stations, and to the task teams. There is a task team separate budget, and this is where the budget of the PKTT and other task teams, national task teams, are coming. And that is in my office to manage all the task teams that we are undertaking in the country.
So that's completely false?
It's not correct.
Yes. So I ran through some of the witness statements that have been made over the months and months we've sat in this room.
This continues. The Ad-hoc committee, they tend to go into overtime, extra time. Tomorrow, I understand the Madlanga Commissioner will be back, so we'll navigate between the two of them. And, of course, it's the World Cup semi-final. Huge attention to that because that game, South Africa, New Zealand, falls within our time. But thanks for listening. Much appreciated. As always, we'll do it again tomorrow. Right now, it's Greg here with the news at 6.